This is a question on foundational exam number 2 about how two variables relate to each other. The problem will say something like Levi is walking west from his house at a speed of 3 miles per hour. And then it'll ask you essentially whether or not the amount of time that's passed is proportional to the distance that Levi has traveled, or vice versa, because when two things are proportional, they're proportional, from A to B or from B to A. Proportionality is a reciprocal relationship. And so, the answer is yes, that if you're traveling at a constant speed, your time to distance is proportional. And on this question, there's going to be two answers that are yes, but one answer is better than the other. And so what I've done here is drawn out two situations, and one of the yeses will apply to this situation, but both of the yeses will apply to this one. And this one is the one that you'll encounter in the problem. So in other words, one answer is more specific and therefore a better answer than the others. So the answer that's bad is the one that says, yes, Levi's distance west of his house is related to the elapsed time since he started walking. And that's inspecific, and well, here's why. Suppose we have two situations. One where someone walks west of their house going 3 miles an hour, constant speed. So after the first hour, they've traveled 3 miles. After the second hour, they've traveled 6. After 3 hours, they've traveled 9 miles. You get the idea. But then another situation where maybe that same person the next day, they're feeling sluggish, and so they start out fast, but every hour they only travel half as far. So during the first hour, they travel 8 miles. During the second hour, they only travel another 4. So now in total, after 2 hours, they've only traveled 12 miles. And then during the third hour, they only travel 2 miles. So if I write the distance they've traveled in here, we have 8, 4. So this is the distance per hour. And then on top here, we have the total distances. And now this will illustrate why that answer, that the distance is related to the time elapsed, isn't specific enough. So if we look at the other yes answer, it says the distance walked is always the same number of times as large as the hours Levi has been walking. And so we can just draw a chart here. So one column we have distance, other column we have hours, and then a third column we have number of times as large. So for example, in this first scenario, it's all 3s because, well, 9 is 3 times as large as 3, 30 is 3 times as large as 10, 6 is 3 times as large as 2, so on and so forth. But in this example, where Levi is not traveling at a constant speed, for the first hour, the distance they've traveled is 8 times as large as the number of hours they've been walking. After 2 hours, the distance they've traveled is getting myself mixed up. The distance they've traveled is 6 times as large as the number of hours they've been walking. And this is pretty much just a really overemphasized way to say that Levi is not traveling at a constant speed here. And so there's like 3 or 4 different ways to say pretty much the same thing, but if you say that two variables or two values are proportional to each other, that's the same thing as saying that they're increasing or decreasing at the same rate, that one is always the same number of times as large as the other, or that if you're thinking of this in terms of speed, that speed is occurring at a constant rate. And so on this problem, the key is to pick the more specific answer. And this example is, in a nutshell, why the other yes answer is not specific